The records department. Beyond, above, below were swarms of workers engaged in an unimaginable multitude of jobs. There were the huge printing shops with their sub-editors, the typography experts, and their elaborately equipped studios for the faking of photographs. There was the teleprogram section, with its engineers, its producers, and its team of actors specifically chosen for their skill in imitating voices. There were the armies of reference clerks, whose job was simply to draw up lists of books and periodicals which were due for recall. There were the vast repositories where the corrected documents were stored, and the hidden furnaces where the original copies were destroyed. And somehow or other, quite anonymous, they were the directing brains who coordinated the whole effort and laid down the lines of policy which made it necessary that this fragment of the past should be preserved, that one falsified and the other rubbed out of existence. And the records department, after all, was itself only a single branch of the Ministry of Truth, whose primary job was not to reconstruct the past, but to supply the citizens of Oceania with newspapers, films, textbooks, telescreen programs, plays, novels, with every conceivable kind of information, instruction, or entertainment, from a statue to a slogan, from a lyric poem to a biological treatise, and from a child's spelling book to a Newspeak dictionary. And the ministry had not only to supply the multifarious needs of the party, but also to repeat the whole operation at a lower level for the benefit of the proletariat. There was a whole chain of separate departments dealing with proletarian literature, music, drama, and entertainment generally. Here were produced rubbishy newspapers containing almost nothing except sport, crime, and astrology, sensational 5-cent novelettes, films oozing with sex, and sentimental songs which were produced entirely by mechanical means. That was an excerpt from George Orwell's 1949 novel, 1984. New cases, did you hear? Doesn't matter, we got an article for every single one, 'cause it's real. In the book 1984, everyone had the 2 minutes of hate, where they would go and they would show this man, Emmanuel Goldstein, who would speak out of the time before they all took over and how it was this scam and everything that's going on and how it's really a prison and all this stuff. So every single day, they bombard the public with upsetting images of him and complete slander. The book states that he was demanding the immediate conclusion of peace with Eurasia. He was advocating freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, freedom of thought. He was crying hysterically that the revolution had been betrayed. But he recounts that what was strange was that although Goldstein was hated and despised by everyone, although every day and 1,000 times a day on platforms, on the telescreen, in newspapers and books, his theories were refuted, smashed, ridiculed, and held up to general gaze for the pitiful rubbish that they were. In spite of all this, his influence never seemed to grow less. Always there were, quote, fresh dupes waiting to be seduced by him, and a day never passed when spies and saboteurs acting under his directions were not unmasked by the thought police. How could you tell how much of it was lies? Well, when they erased the traces of everything before it, you can't tell how much is lies.
Let me tell you this. From the beginning, there was never any war between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was created by those at the top to fund the New World Order and the New World Order's police force. at the highest levels of all countries, they all belong to the same club. And we, the people, sit back and we watch this grand drama which is being played out for our benefit, not theirs. If it wasn't for us, we wouldn't even have to do any of this. But you see, they just can't come out and destroy all of us because they need slaves. They need people to make their shoes, and make their cars, and mine the ore. They need worker bees, and that's what we are. In the New World Order, we will be the worker bees, the slaves.
So the Orwellian view of the vision of the future wasn't too far off based on this scenario.
George Orwell was just like me. He was a low-level member of British intelligence who was appointed to a position high enough where he saw the same documents that I saw. And he tried to warn the world just like I'm trying to warn the world, only he wasn't willing to take the risk that I'm willing to take. So he wrote it in a book called 1984 and spelled out exactly what's coming as a warning to the people of the world, as a work of fiction. But you notice that that work of fiction really stirred people up because they knew that it wasn't fiction. In their heart of hearts, everyone who's read that book knows that it's coming.